Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a bit of material here today. We're focusing on this really interesting article, AI Hype versus Reality 2025.
hmm
It feels like AI just sort of landed on us,
Mm.
you know? And the big question is it all hype? Or are we maybe missing something bigger?
Right, you hear it all the time. Either it's, AI utopia is just around the corner, or it's dismissed as just another buggy chatbot, like the self-driving car fails.
Yeah, the usual arguments. But this source, it throws a bit of a curveball, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests maybe both sides are kind of getting it wrong, that the real story in 2025 is, well, quieter, messier, and maybe even underhyped.
Underhyped,
That's right.
seriously. With all the noise, that sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to cut through that. We're going to dig into this one article, really dissect the evidence it presents, think like an engineer, ponder like a philosopher. Just based on this source material, what's really going on?
And it's important, right? This stuff matters to you, listening right now.
Mm.
AI is already weaving into classrooms, job markets, the economy.
Everything.
Yeah. So getting a clearer picture beyond the headlines is pretty crucial for figuring out the next few years.
Okay, so the source covers a lot of ground. How we got here, skepticism, business wins, this agentic AI idea, education shifts, skills, jobs.
Economics, the environment, science breakthroughs, even future scenarios. It's
Yeah.
comprehensive.
Right. Let's start at the beginning then. How did we get here so fast? It really does feel sudden.
Well, the source makes a good point that it only feels sudden. It's actually built on decades of quieter, incremental progress.
Like what?
Think Deep Blue beating Kasparov way back in '97,
All right.
or ImageNet in 2012, that computer vision leap, or the Transformer paper in 2017. That's the bedrock for a lot of current models, stuff mostly happening in labs.
Okay, so foundations were being laid for years. But there was a moment people really sat up and noticed, wasn't there?
Definitely. The source points to AlphaGo's Move 37 in 2016. That Go match.
Ah, right.
That move felt, well, inhuman, creative almost. It was a real signal AI could do more than just crunch numbers.
And then a few years later, that signal went completely mainstream.
No, absolutely. ChatGPT, late 2022, hits 100 million users in, what was it, 60 days?
60 days. That's insane compared to, like, the iPhone or the early web.
Exactly. It just blew past all the predictions of a hype trough, that typical dip after a launch.
Yeah, it just kept going up.
Just kept climbing, shoved AI right into everyone's conversations. The source suggests maybe the story isn't hype versus reality, but more about understanding that incredible adoption speed.
Okay, so the speed is undeniable.
Yeah.
But, there's still a lot of skepticism floating around. Why is that, according to the source?
Well, the source argues that skepticism isn't necessarily bad. It's kind of earned, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen tech hype cycles fizzle out before. And let's be honest, plenty of AI projects haven't delivered. We've all dealt with frustrating voice assistants or seen videos of confused self-driving cars.
True enough. The glitches are real.
And there are still practical hurdles. The source mentions things like the high cost of fine-tuning these big models for specific jobs, the way they sometimes just make stuff up, hallucinations.
Right, the hallucination, bro.
And the environmental cost. Training these mega models uses a ton of energy and water.
Yeah.
Even big names like Eric Schmidt admit there are known failure modes.
Oh, okay, so valid reasons for caution.
Yeah.
But then you look at the adoption numbers you mentioned.
And that's where the gap appears, according to the source. Despite the skepticism, you've got 65% of companies using generative AI weekly. That's double last year.
Double. Wow.
And 75% of CEOs are calling AI the biggest disruptor, more than cloud or mobile now. So the source is basically saying the talk might be cautious, but the actual doing, the deployment, that's accelerating fast.
And maybe that's where the underhyped idea comes from, the quiet deployment. Where are businesses seeing these impacts away from the big announcements?
Exactly. The source really emphasizes that the biggest wins often aren't these flashy, revolutionary things. They're AI working inside existing processes, almost invisibly.
Can you give an example from the article?
Sure. Take shipping logistics. There's a case of a mid-sized company using a fairly modest language model, just 6 billion parameters,
Okay.
integrated into their scheduling. Result: container idle time dropped 18% in 4 months.
18%. In logistics, that's massive.
It means millions saved on fees. But here's the kicker. The people actually using it, they just called it autocomplete for schedules.
Not our revolutionary AI, just
Yeah.
autocomplete.
Exactly. It just made their job easier. That's the quiet win.
Makes sense. Any other examples?
Yeah, insurance claims. Adjusters using a vision language model fine-tuned on, like, dent photos from car accidents.
Oh, yeah?
It drafts the preliminary repair report in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Used to take 2 days.
2 days down to seconds.
Yeah. Now, the human still checks and signs off, but it basically doubles the adjuster's throughput. Customers, they just notice their claims get paid faster.
So these aren't trending on X, but they're making a real difference.
Precisely. They're incremental, embedded gains. The source argues that's why the 2025 impact feels underhyped. It's happening deep inside workflows, not on billboards.
It's AI as, like, better plumbing, not a spaceship launch.
Yeah. Okay, that leads nicely into this idea of agentic AI the source talks about. How does that fit in?
Right. So if current models are like super smart librarians, you ask, they find info, sometimes making mistakes. Agentic AI is moving towards models that are more proactive. They don't just wait for your question.
Proactive how?
Think, instead of asking the librarian for travel books, the agent sees you researching Italy and just goes ahead and suggests flight options, maybe even holds a seat.
Whoa, okay.
They act autonomously to achieve goals. Deloitte apparently predicts half the Fortune 500 will be piloting agents like this by 2027, the potential upside. Automating all those tedious swivel chair tasks, copying data between apps.
Sounds amazing. Also, slightly terrifying.
The source definitely flags that duality. More autonomy means more power, but also more risk. Imagine a rogue trading agent going haywire.
Yikes. Or security folks are already showing how agents could create personalized phishing scams on the fly. Much harder to detect.
So controlling them becomes critical.
Absolutely. The source stresses the need for containment layers, things like testing sandboxes, rule-based breaks to stop bad actions, mandatory human checks for big decisions. But, it notes, the regulators are struggling to keep pace. The tech moves faster than the laws.
That race between capability and control, it keeps coming up. Okay, let's switch gears. Education. How is AI changing the classroom? That feels fundamental.
Oh, the classroom is a fascinating case study of this pivot the source describes. Remember when ChatGPT first hit, lots of educators panicked.
Yeah, talk of bans going back to old school exams.
Right. But the source cites a 2024 survey showing a really fast turnaround. Now, 78% of computing instructors allow Gen AI in some way, and over a third, 35%, are actually building it into assignments.
That quickly. Why the change of heart?
2 main reasons from the source. One, just trying to police it is proving really hard. It's like banning calculators.
Point taken.
And 2, more importantly, knowing how to work with these tools is becoming a key job skill. Students need that fluency before they hit the workforce.
So it's shifted from fighting it to teaching with it.
Exactly. The source describes common patterns, labs where students have to critique the AI's answer, not just get it, or challenges where an AI drafts code and the student has to annotate and improve it.
Like AI pair programming almost.
Yeah, or pair debugging. Students try solo, then get hints from Copilot or similar tools. It becomes a learning scaffold.
Does it actually help students learn better?
Early data mentioned in the source suggests, yes, if used as a scaffold, but critically, just blindly copying and pasting, that actually lowers scores.
Ah, okay, so understanding is still key.
Absolutely. Discussing the limitations, the failure modes, that's crucial. It's like learning to use a calculator or a search engine effectively. It's becoming part of the toolkit.
Okay, so if education is adapting like that, what skills are actually in demand now? What are hiring managers looking for in this new reality?
Well, the source suggests the ability to navigate the hype itself is a skill. Knowing what's real, what's not. But more concretely, a few things stand out.
Like?
1, prompt precision. Basically, getting good at telling the AI exactly what you need clearly and effectively so you get useful results back, not garbage.
Makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out.
Pretty much. 2, critical validation. You can't just trust the output. You need the ability to sanity check it quickly for accuracy, bias, ethical problems, using tests, or just good judgment.
Don't trust, verify.
Exactly. And 3rd, domain framing. This is the human part. Using your deep knowledge of a field medicine, law, engineering, whatever, to decide which problems are even suitable for AI in the first place.
So it's less about memorizing technical details.
Yeah, rote knowledge, like specific API commands, becomes less important. What's valued more is conceptual thinking, system design, understanding the big picture. The source even says job descriptions now ask people to translate AI hype into deployable, reliable features.
Translate hype into reality. That sums it up.
Yeah.
Okay, for someone listening, thinking about their own skills, what practical steps does the source suggest?
It offers some good hands-on advice. First, really dig into the documentation for major AI models. Treat it like a tech spec. Understand what they can and can't do.
Know your tools.
Yes. Second, try automating something simple, maybe a hobby project using an LLM. See where it trips up. That real-world experience is gold.
Learn by doing.
Right. Third, keep a log. The source calls it deliberate prompt journaling. Write down your prompts, the AI's answers, what worked, what didn't. It helps you learn and gives you proof of your skills. Evidence is gold, it says.
That's smart. What about security? Feels important now.
Hugely important. Secure your digital identity. Be careful about public voice recordings. They can be cloned. Check your privacy settings. Use strong authentication everywhere.
Yeah, with deepfakes and stuff.
Exactly. And finally, stay curious, but, don't just believe everything. Be skeptical. Treat breakthroughs as maybe until they're replicated and confirmed. Keep a level head.
Good, practical advice. Okay, let's zoom out to the big one. The labor market. Will AI take my job? That's central to the whole hype debate, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the source paints a picture that's, well, messy. It's a yes and no kind of answer. Automation isn't usually about whole jobs vanishing overnight, but specific tasks changing or getting automated.
Okay, so task level changes. Give me an example from the source.
Sure. It suggests, say, hotel call centers might shrink because AI can handle simple booking questions. But at the same time, you see a spike in demand for the data engineers and prompt designers building those systems.
One role shrinks, another grows.
Or in manufacturing, AI vision might mean fewer people visually inspecting parts on a line, but then you need new roles maintaining the complex Senti networks that feed the AI data.
So jobs morph, new ones emerge. It's not just elimination.
Often, yeah. The source mentions a McKinsey forecast 12 million U.S. workers might need significant reskilling by 2030. That's a big challenge.
12 million, wow.
But it also predicts 2 million net new jobs in AI orchestration roles managing AI systems.
That pattern sounds familiar, historically speaking.
It does. The source draws parallels. Spreadsheets replaced bookkeepers but created financial analysts. The steam engine disrupted crafts but built factory empires.
Right.
The key difference today, the source argues, is speed, velocity. LLMs are compressing change that used to take decades into months or quarters, and that ramps up the anxiety.
The speed is the shock to the system.
Yeah.
So for workers trying to navigate this, what are the winning moves according to the source?
It highlights 3 main strategies emerging. First, lean into your specific domain knowledge. An experienced nurse knows things about patient care that let them fine-tune a diagnostic AI way better than a pure tech person could. Human expertise is key.
Got it. Leverage what you know.
Second, combine your existing skills, your muscle memory, with AI literacy. Think of a plumber using an AI tool that predicts pipe failures from sensor data. They're still a plumber, just augmented, more effective.
Use AI as a tool for your existing job.
Exactly. And third, focus on those uniquely human meta skills. Communication, teamwork, ethical judgment, strategic thinking. These are the skills needed to glue the AI capabilities into useful, real-world solutions. The source really pushes back on the doom narrative, using history like the lamplighters versus electric streetlights. Things change, new roles appear.
And the streets got brighter.
Huh.
Okay, zooming out even more. Macroeconomics.
Oh.
GDP. What's the source saying about AI's impact there?
This is a huge area for the hype versus reality debate. Productivity growth has been kind of slow globally since maybe 2008. AI is seen as a potential booster shot. Goldman Sachs, mentioned in the source, has a baseline forecast of global GDP going up 7% over 10 years, mostly thanks to AI automation, trillions of dollars potentially.
7% globally is significant. That's real growth.
It could be, but the source immediately pivots to the equity question. Okay, growth for whom? Who benefits? Who gets left behind?
Right, distribution matters.
Hugely. The gains seem to be clustering in knowledge work, software, finance, etc. Companies in low-margin industries, they might face serious pressure.
Which brings us to policy.
Big time. Governments are wrestling with this. How do you tax AI? How do you support workers who are disrupted? The source mentions ideas like tiny taxes on AI computations, or maybe data dividends. The key takeaway is that you need to look at both the total output and how it's shared. History warns us that big gains concentrated in few hands can cause problems. Smart policy means investing in reskilling, safety nets, managing the transition.
Balancing the boom with fairness. Okay, what about costs we don't often talk about? The environmental side.
Yeah, the source flags this as something often glossed over in the hype. Training these huge AI models takes a massive amount of energy.
How massive?
Like, training one big model can use more electricity than 5,000 U.S. homes for a whole year, plus tons of water for cooling data centers.
Wow, that's a serious footprint.
It is. It's a real cost. But the source also notes the industry is starting to react. Companies are trying to use more renewable energy, schedule training for off-peak hours, and the hardware itself is getting more efficient. Newer GPUs do more calculations per watt.
So efficiency is improving too. It's not just endless energy drain.
Exactly. That's the nuance. There's also algorithmic thrift, making the software smarter so it needs less brute force. Things like pruning models, distilling big ones into smaller ones using retrieval techniques. The source mentions experiments showing you can get maybe 10x compute savings without losing much accuracy just by being clever with the algorithms.
Smarter code, not just bigger servers.
Right. And there's growing pressure for transparency dashboards showing the carbon and water cost of training. Shareholder pressure is pushing for greener AI, too. So the energy hunger is real, but so is the push for efficiency. It's another complex reality behind the hype.
Okay, shifting back to the cutting edge, frontier science. Is AI overhyped there, or is it really changing basic research?
This source gives some really strong examples where AI isn't replacing scientists, but acting as this incredibly powerful assistant leading to genuine breakthroughs.
I mean, in drug discovery, we hear a lot about that.
Yeah. AlphaFold predicting protein shapes was a huge deal a few years back. Now, the source says, labs are using generative models to actually design new molecules from scratch, molecules with specific desired properties. Then they test these virtual molecules using simulations.
Designing drugs computationally.
Essentially, a startup mentioned claims this approach might cut down a process that usually takes 3 years to maybe just 8 months, getting potential drugs identified faster.
That could be revolutionary if it pans out.
Huge potential, yeah. Another area is climate modeling. Old models take ages to run, struggle with local details. Now, AI-driven models trained on those simulations can generate regional rainfall forecasts in minutes instead of hours.
Minutes. That's fast enough for real-time decisions.
Exactly. The source mentions Bangladesh using these faster forecasts during monsoons for better emergency response, potentially saving lives. In both cases, drugs, climate, the pattern is. AI does the heavy lifting, calculation, simulation. Humans provide the critical judgment and direction.
Augmentation, not replacement. Got it.
Hmm.
So based on all the progress, the challenges, the quiet wins, what does the future look like? What scenarios does the source explore for, say, 2030?
Well, scenario planning helps think about the range of possibilities, right? The source lays out 3 main ones.
Okay, what's the first?
They call it the acceleration plateau. Basically, progress on just making models bigger slows down.
Yeah.
Innovation shifts more towards integration.
Yeah.
AI becomes like electricity, just fundamental plumbing everywhere.
Right.
Productivity grows steadily. The job market finds a new balance. The hype kind of settles down. AI is just there working.
That sounds manageable, plausible. What's scenario 2?
Runaway agents. This is the riskier one. Imagine breakthroughs in AI autonomy happen faster than expected. Systems start self-coding, improving rapidly. Regulators can't keep up. Then some major accident happens, financial markets, infrastructure, something big caused by an agent gone wrong. This could lead to moratoriums, a crash in public trust, stalled investment until safety catches up.
That highlights the control problem again. And third scenario?
The optimistic one, symbiotic renaissance. Here, human AI teams make rapid progress on really big problems. Maybe fusion power, truly seamless translation, optimizing global logistics, tackling diseases.
Wow.
GDP jumps, emissions fall because of efficiency gains, and maybe inequality even narrows because of widespread effective reskilling efforts. Hype meets or even exceeds reality.
Very different futures. Does the source lean towards one?
It suggests the acceleration plateau is maybe the most likely in the near term, based on current trends. But, and this is key, it stresses the outcome isn't fixed.
We have agency.
Exactly. Things like smart regulation, investing seriously in AI safety research, even just individuals practicing good digital hygiene, these can nudge us towards that better Renaissance scenario. It's about how we navigate the path.
So how do we navigate? What concrete strategies does the source recommend for individuals or organizations trying to ride this wave effectively?
It boils down to rigor, not just hype. The source lists 7 practical strategies.
Okay, let's hear them. Actionable advice is good.
First, that deliberate prompt journaling we mentioned. Log your queries, the AI's output, what worked, what didn't. Build that skill consciously.
Got it. Second.
Model ensemble thinking. Don't just rely on one AI. Query several different models for the same task, compare the results, look for where they disagree. It's like getting a second, third, fourth opinion.
Smart way to catch errors or biases. Number 3.
Data diet audits. Be really aware of the data you're feeding into AI systems and what data they were trained on. Check for bias, privacy issues, copyright problems. Keep your data clean.
Crucial. 4.
Latency budgeting. Treat the AI's response time like a critical resource. Slow AI doesn't get used. Think like a high-frequency trader, milliseconds matter for user experience.
Performance is everything for adoption. Okay, 5.
Carbon shadow pricing. Even if it's just notional, assign a cost to the energy your AI experiments use. It encourages efficiency and prepares you for future regulations.
Thinking green. 6.
Legal early warning. Keep an eye on AI policy, court cases, new regulations. The legal landscape is shifting fast and can impact projects overnight.
Stay informed beyond the tech. And the last one, 7.
Cross-pollination lunches. Deliberately get your tech teams talking with your domain experts, the people who know the business inside out. Those conversations spark practical, grounded AI ideas, not just tech for tech's sake.
That makes a lot of sense. Blend the tech with the real world. Okay, so pulling all these threads together from our deep dive into this source, what's the final takeaway on AI hype versus reality in 2025?
I think the source makes a really compelling case that when you look beyond the headlines, beyond the splashy demos, the AI revolution right now is probably underhyped.
Underhyped because it's hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. It's in that quiet ubiquity. The source points to nurses using it for scheduling, inventory systems making better suggestions, delivery routes getting optimized to save fuel, small businesses seeing real bumps in conversion rates using readily available AI tools.
The stuff that doesn't make the news cycle.
Right. It's the AI working behind the scenes, smoothing things out, making millions of small improvements. The source really pushes us to look beyond the specs and the stock prices.
Towards the human impact.
Yeah. Think about the actual stories. The logistics planner who sleeps better because the AI flags problems earlier. The teacher who gets grading time back to spend with students.
Reducing friction, giving back time.
That's the reality the source highlights. The true measure might not just be GDP points or processing power, but the reclaimed hours, the reduced stress, the new possibilities opening up. And that human impact, the source suggests, is why there's reason for optimism, even as we stay vigilant.
A powerful reframing. So, based on this deep dive, here's something for you, our listeners, to think about. When you consider AI hype versus AI reality, maybe the most important metric isn't the tech specs or the economic numbers. Maybe it's the value of the time AI gives back. What could you do with that reclaimed time?